During a regular mission, the adventurer Dale comes across Latina, an 8-year-old devil girl with a broken horn, a symbol of criminality in demon society. Dale assumes the skeleton of a male devil named Ragu, whom he finds was her father. Refusing to let her perish, Dale gives Ragu a proper burial, and takes Latina to the town of Kreuz to seek assistance from Rita and Kenneth, the tavern owners from whom he rents a room. Together, Dale and Rita care for her, providing a bath, food, and a place to rest. By the next morning, Latina develops a strong bond with Dale, and Rita gives her ribbons to conceal her horns. After purchasing new clothes and shoes for Latina, despite his perilous adventurer lifestyle and lack of experience with children, Dale decides to adopt her as his daughter. While residing in the forest, Ragu introduces Latina to her first rainbow. Dale has become an incredibly devoted parent, but in doing so, he neglects his job to spend time with her. Rita insists that Dale return to work while she and Kenneth take care of Latina. Despite her awkward attempts to help in the tavern, Latina manages to charm the typically gruff adventurer customers. A week later, she starts learning the human language and cooking. During a supply run with Kenneth, Latina becomes captivated by a street magician conjuring a rainbow. Worried, Dale hurries to find her while Rita rallies Gilvester and the other adventurer customers to aid in the search. Along her adventures, Latina encounters 3 young boys, Rudy, Marcel, and Anthony, whose unintentional actions make her cry. However, when their friend Chloe retaliates against them, Latina heals Marcel's scraped knee, revealing her rare skill of using magic. As they all become friends, they encounter Gilvester, who escorts Latina to the tavern and later brings the children home. Apologizing for causing trouble to the adventurers, Latina becomes emotional when Dale returns, expressing her desire to stay with him and fear of being alone again. That night, she and Dale read a book together, featuring a picture of a rainbow. Dale is heartbroken when assigned a job that will separate him from Latina for several days. He travels there on a dragon's back, but his sour mood frightens the pilot, who inadvertently motivates Dale to bring back souvenir candy for Latina. During his journey, Dale reunites with his old friend, Lord Gregor, who is astonished to learn about Dale's adoption of a devil child. The king asks Dale to eliminate several servants of the 7th demon lord to avoid sending his own soldiers, as it might provoke a war with the demon lord. Meanwhile, back at the tavern, Latina feels down, so Kenneth teaches her how to make shepherd's pie. Chloe, Latina's friend, visits the tavern to inquire if Latina plans on attending school, prompting Rita to encourage Dale to enroll her at the local school. In the forest, Dale, Gregor, and other adventurers carry out their mission to assassinate 3 dragons, several humans, and a female demon, all of whom were serving the demon lord. Back at the tavern, Latina's shepherd's pie becomes a hit with customers, and Gilvester is amazed at how quickly she charms even the gruffest adventurer customers. After 2 weeks, Dale finally returns home with gifts for Latina, who, in turn, surprises him with a shepherd's pie she specially made for him. Latina impresses Dale by healing an adventurer's injured arm, prompting him to teach her several new spells. On her first day at school, Latina makes a new friend named Sylvia, but their teacher, a religious zealot, makes her uncomfortable. The situation worsens on her second day when the teacher discovers Latina's horn under her ribbon, leading to a physical attack and the spewing of anti-demon hatred, which the other students defend against. The teacher is ultimately removed by the staff. Learning about the long demon lifespan of 200 years, more than twice Dale's, leaves Latina traumatized. Distressed by the thought of outliving her friends and Dale, she violently breaks off her remaining horn, causing a near-fatal injury, and Kenneth rushes her to the temple's hospital. After reassuring Latina, Dale takes swift action and uses his political influence to have the teacher fired and defrocked, exposing her history of discrimination against elves. The adventurers celebrate Latina's recovery with a party, during which she apologizes for causing concern. It is revealed at the party that Latina cannot sing, but Dale still finds it endearing. Latina discovers the concept of birthdays from her classmates and begins visiting Chloe's house after school to learn embroidery from Chloe's tailor parents. Kenneth informs Dale that he has started paying Latina a wage for her work in the tavern, which deeply troubles Dale, as he would gladly buy her anything she desires instead. Gilvester becomes suspicious of 2 men observing Latina in the tavern. Surprisingly, Latina discloses that she used her wage to create an adventure satchel as a birthday gift for Dale. The following day after Dale departs for a job, Latina realizes that Gilvester left his money bag behind and rushes outside to return it. On her way back to the tavern, she is attacked by the two men who intend to kidnap and sell her on the black market where demon children are deemed rare and valuable. Recalling Dale's advice to use attack magic only when in danger, Latina begins to cast a spell, but Gilvester intervenes and threatens the kidnappers. Before he can take any action, the police lieutenant, Sylvia's father, arrives on the scene and arrests the kidnappers for threatening his daughter's friend. Dale receives a letter from his hometown, Teethrow, and decides to visit to have his gifted jacket adjusted for his taller height. Meanwhile, Rita falls ill, and they discover that she and Kenneth are expecting their first baby. Upon learning about Dale's trip, Latina expresses her desire to accompany him to meet his family. Latina needs equipment, so she goes shopping for a knife at the weapon shop owned by Rudy's father, while Dale searches for a mage's cloak for her, seeking advice from Helmine. Setting out on their journey, Dale skillfully protects Latina from magical beasts, and Latina proves her worth with her support magic. During their travels, they visit the grave site of Latina's father, Ragu, where she shares everything about her new life. As they make camp, Latina showcases her culinary skills even in the forest, earning Dale's gratitude. Dale and Latina proceed on their journey through the hub town of Haas and then reach the port town of Qual. During their evening at a fancy restaurant, Latina notices a performer who wears a similar armlet to her own. Curious, Dale and Latina inquire about the armlet, and the performer, Kreuz, reveals that she is a devil from Vasilios, a country ruled by the first demon lord. In this country, demon children receive an armlet from their fathers to celebrate their birth due to the difficulty of demons producing offspring. Upon examining Latina's armlet, they discover an engraving indicating her father Ragu's full name as Smeragi. Kreuz shares that she fled Vasilios after the first demon lord was slain by the second demon lord, making the country dangerous. She also explains that there are multiple demon lords, including the third demon lord of the sea and the sixth demon lord of the giants, but three are known as calamitous demon lords, the second demon lord of the underworld, fourth demon lord of plague, and seventh demon lord of war. As Dale and Latina continue their journey, they encounter Yosef, a beast man and a friend of Dale's. Dale and Latina reach a village inhabited by beast men for their next stop. They are welcomed into Joseph's family home, where Latina quickly bonds with Joseph's daughter, Maya. The following day, they indulge in a sumptuous feast prepared by the beast men, who showcase their hunting skills by bringing in two giant boars. After spending another night in the village, Dale and Latina resume their journey, but Maya becomes upset at the thought of Latina leaving. As they continue, they encounter a perilous situation where they dodge a barrage of arrows and navigate through traps set by soldiers. Eventually, they reach Dale's hometown, the village of Teethrow. Dale discloses to Latina that one of the primary reasons for his return is his brother York's upcoming marriage to Frida, the chief's daughter from the nearby village of Sunnis. Dale proudly introduces Latina to his family. Latina pens a letter and sends it to her friends in Kreuz. Meanwhile, the villagers in Teethrow are busy preparing for the wedding. Dale's grandmother, Wendelgard, takes Latina to a kennel where she can play with the dogs. Later that night, Latina expresses her happiness to Dale for being with him. The following day, with Dale following closely, Latina feeds some dried meat to a baby, soaring wolf she encountered in the woods, thanks to Wendelgard's guidance. This act helps Latina befriend the creatures. As night falls, York and Frida's wedding takes place, prompting Dale to open up to Latina about his life before they met. He had accepted the title of Reki and the responsibility of protecting the village. Unfortunately, this meant he had to take the lives of those who posed a threat to Teethrow, which left him unhappy until he met Latina. Dale and Latina get ready for their journey back to Kreuz, taking the time to bid farewell to their friends and family in Teethrow. Before they leave, Wendelgard gives Latina a name, which is typically bestowed upon villagers when they come of age. However, Wendelgard knows she might not live to see Latina reach that milestone. With their goodbyes said, they embark on their return trip, making a stop at the Beastman village where Maya warmly welcomes Latina back. After spending a day there, they continue their journey and once again visit Qual. On this stop, Latina purchases a souvenir for Rita. Sometime later, they finally arrive back at Kreuz. Latina returns to school and shares her adventures with her friends, while Dale does the same with Kenneth and Rita at the tavern. One day, while they are together, Sylvia mentions to Latina that cats tend to gather at night in the marketplace, but she advises against going there after dark. Instead, Dale takes Latina to visit Gojo Shisu, Sylvester's neighbor, who keeps several cats as pets. Shisu, who had immigrated from overseas, convinces Dale to host a festival celebrating the growth of children, a tradition from his homeland. As part of the festival, Latina gets dressed in a kimono. Meanwhile, the soaring wolf pup whom Latina had befriended makes its way to Kreuz to see her. As Rita's child's birth approaches, Helmine pays a visit, accompanying Dale on his next assignment that will keep him out of town for a month. Latina expresses a wish to grow up, which puts Dale in a bad mood, leading him to drown his sorrows in alcohol. That night, Helmine advises Dale to be more realistic about his devotion to Latina and urges him to live as long as he can for her sake. On the day before Dale's departure, he and Latina make a trip to Rag's grave, where Dale promises to look after Latina for as long as he lives. The following day, Dale sets off for his assignment, leaving Latina in the care of Rita and Kenneth. During Dale's absence, Rita gives birth to her child, and both the soaring wolf and Joseph's family visit the tavern to see the baby, reuniting Latina with Maya. Some time later, Dale returns to Kreuz to be with Latina.
I hope you liked the recap. If so, don't forget to subscribe and like it.